Welcome to the weekly. I'm Jeremy.
Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
So we are here on hot summer days. It's still killing you over there?
108 today.
Oh.
108. 108 freedom units today.
But before we get started, there's a bundle on Humble Bundle I'd like to promote. So it's an Encore bundle. So Battletech, the Battletech RPG bundle came back. It was here, I think, about a year ago. But it's back, and it's a pretty reasonably priced. You can get a lot of stuff. But the great thing that you can get, I think, for just $5 is their Battletech Universe book. So this is just the setting book. So it's not mechanics or anything, but it's the setting. So for the war game, for the RPG, for everything, it's basically, all the eras and the entire setting of the world. So this is Catalyst Games, and this is all ebooks. It's all PDFs. So, but yeah, if you ever wanted to try to role play in that world, or if you just are interested in the setting, take a look at that. Yeah, the high end is only $18 for everything they're offering. So it's a lot of the Battletech Universe background book, and then a lot of the other setting books, and then the RPG rules. So I'll put a link in the description. But this week on the weekly, the $100 million, the $1 million crowdfunder. We haven't had one of those yet, but the $1 million crowdfunders and the problems they bring. A John Blanche tribute, a Malegothica, Maleghast miniatures, so a collaboration to bring physical miniatures, but oddly enough, not tokens, which is a thing that's really necessary for that game. And then finally, Crows, Fortune or Death. And immediately that title made me think of the Cake or Death.
Yeah, Cake or Death.
I'll choose Fortune. All right. So let's get started. So yeah, this was a really great N-World article that kind of summed up a lot of things we've been thinking about. And the writer of it, which is, I don't have it in my notes, but the writer of it was talking about their experience. I guess through N-World, they've done a lot of crowdfunders. So they've been involved, not on a huge scale, but they've been involved in a lot of this process from the early days. And they talked about how this has changed. So now, we're pretty well getting to the point where the tabletop RPGs are doing well. They're performing well on a platform like Kickstarter, and we're having multiple $1 million TTRPG crowdfunders. And a lot of what is pushing things over the $1 million kind of threshold is the average pledge level. And the average pledge level is padded out with the tchotchkes, the junk, things that aren't the book. So, for example, both Shadow Dark and Coyote and Crow were over $1 million, but their average pledge was, just around $50 because that's how you get the book. So, that was the price of the book that they were producing, a hardcover book. Of course, they did add things like dice and T-shirts and stuff, but they didn't go to the level of plushies and denim jackets and everything. But compare that to something like compare that to something like Neon Odyssey, which their average pledge level, which I think we talked about last week when the interview with the creator, he said $328 was their average pledge level. So you're going to need to be over $100 for that average pledge to get anywhere near the $1 million mark. And, Kickstarter loves that because they're taking 10% of that. If you're not going to be on BackerKit or GameFound, you're gonna lose 10% of that. So you're promising the world to these backers, and you're right away you're losing a big bunch of that. So we don't have a total tally on Dungeons and Daddies yet, I don't think, but it's gonna be up there. But the one,
who backed? Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
I've noticed that, I think it's BackerKit and what's the other one? GameFound.
Mm-hmm.
If you have backed a certain company's projects, it will tell you when they back something else.
Oh yes, right. Mm-hmm.
And
who backed Dungeons and Daddies?
I think it was because I got the new Tunnels and Trolls Quick Start.
Mm-hmm.
Is how I got wrapped up in this. But those guys, Rebellion Unplugged, They backed Dungeons and Daddies, of course.
Of course. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I'm interested. I think they're trying to do that for a kind of a discovery thing, discovery kind of apparatus. And so, yeah, but that means that backer kit or whatever, don't they have to be telling these companies, yeah, use your company account and back this, because then all of your followers will be notified about this, this crowdfunder. Yeah, I noticed that.
They should be telling the smaller companies, make sure you don't back neon prophylactics or anything.
Right. Some BDSM fan fiction collection. Like, well, no, that was for, I think somebody else in the company ordered that, not me. Yes, but the one they talked about the most, and I think was the most egregious in following this trend and trying to benefit from it as much as possible without actually creating anything anybody wants or needs, is the Deathbringer TTRPG by Professor Dungeon Master, which was basically run by Roll for Combat, which are the Battle Zoo people. So the thing that they do is the early bird rewards to get people in that initial surge, and they had things that you could add on separately that were like $300. The denim jacket was $300, and some of the other
vinyl record.
Yes, and there's a statuette as well that was part of the early bird thing. So it's like these things are also not important, and so it's good even getting away from the thing where it feels like vanity, like they're doing it for the point of vanity. Because, when they do, T-shirts and dice, it's just to kind of like, be able to show off or show up for a session or whatever, that I'm a fan of this. But when it gets to this like ridiculous extent, it was just going to be a bunch of garbage. And like we said, we'll get to that later when more about dice. But like we said, this isn't even stuff that they're having produced. They're just buying stuff from the Chinese drop shippers to include in their campaigns. But something like the Lazy Game Master, so Mike Shea's Lazy Game Master, he had 9,000 backers. Deathbringer had 8,000 backers, but Shea's total only reached close to it was just over less than 500,000, whereas Deathbringer went over 1.3 million. So that is the big difference. So he sold he got a lot of books to a lot of people, and there are many fewer people, or 1,000 fewer people that are getting that book. So he had Deathbringer got 3 times the money with fewer backers, and that's just because it was all padded out with ridiculous stuff. But the thing we can't forget is it's probably true that the Lazy Game Master campaign was much more profitable because they're producing a book and maybe 2 kinds of books for that large amount of money to that large number of people, whereas Deathbringer, who knows what's going on. So the article goes on to talk about the eras of crowdfunding that we've seen so far. So initially, the first era, they talk about it being the creator era, where things were made by creators that couldn't afford, they didn't have the capital to put up front to produce this and then take the risk of not selling, of losing it. Then the second era they call the pre-order, where it just became a sales and marketing platform to get people to pay for something in advance so they knew how many they needed to make. But now we're in the storefront era, this third era, where basically a crowdfunder is a pop-up merchandise shop for a brand that sells a plethora of things related to it. But how do they get people, to come to these storefronts? How do they get people even interested in these projects that have these, hundreds of stupid little, accessories? Is because a lot of this stuff is, and I think a large number, like majority of the majority of the most recent $1 million crowdfunders are from people with big YouTube channels, big podcasts, blogs, or live streams. So 14 of the $1 million TTRPG crowdfunders are influencers using platforms like YouTube. So you're just taking your fan base, the people that you already have their attention, and then you send them to your storefront for the project to buy up the stuff. And also Kickstarters have that FOMO thing, the fear of missing out. This is only produced for this crowdfunder. You have to get it now. Oh, you were going to spend $150. Why don't go all in for the $300, pledge? So that kind of stuff, I think, works very well. So, for example, the dice, talking about the dice that I immediately recognized as garbage from Temu and Alibaba and a million other sites. Not even, I think maybe they had a logo. You can have you can customize things. So the dice bags themselves have a Deathbringer logo or something on it, but the dice themselves are sitting in a warehouse. They've already been produced. They've been sitting there for who knows how long, just waiting to be thrown in a box and sent to you as part of your Deathbringer pledge. So let's talk a little bit about that. They found on Hextech, a website that stocks dice, the same dice sets that Deathbringers included. This is a retail price. So they were retailing for $17.99, and this is like a this is a 7 die. I think it's the 7 dice set. So retail on this site for $17.99. And so if you get the all 6 of the dice sets, the same sets. So yeah, the same set. So basically, the markup of these dice on the crowdfunder went from $17.99 to $120. So that's about a 600% markup, and 33 people on the Deathbringer campaign actually pledged specifically to be ripped off for those dice. Like, they weren't included in their pledge level. They got the book and then they added the dice to be gouged at 6. So that's like, buying an $18 set of dice and just paying an extra $100 just because you've been suckered. Yeah. And the same thing.
So his. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. How about that?
Oh, I'm just gonna. This isn't related to the dice really, but his biggest pledge level is the Everything But Your Soul pledge level, which is $1,000.
Yeah.
Or $249 a month.
Right. Yeah,
because that's a thing they do now, which is making this even worse.
Yeah, and that's something not mentioned in this article, that there is a threshold. So $50 books you can't break up into installment pays. It has to be over like $150, $200 before whatever mechanism, whatever platform is going to let you pay over time. So that's also pushing people to be like, well, I could just get the book for $50, or I could pay $50 for 8 months and get everything. So yeah, I think that's a really bad enticement. That's just pushing people to get stuff that they do not want. And so the same is true that we have the dice, and the same is true of this jacket. So you can get a denim jacket from a Chinese provider for about $20. Of course, this has patches and an iron-on decal, but it's nowhere near going to cost you $300 for that denim jacket. So you're paying $200 in dice and $300 in denim. But so this is all. Well,
you're buying a dry clean only product, because if you wash a thing, the patch is toast.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing about this, so it's very possible for you, and maybe you don't care, but it's very possible for you to really piss off your fan base doing this kind of stuff, because if what they receive is not what they imagined, or the quality of it or whatever, if it's Chinese quality and they expected something much nicer from your little mock-up on your webpage, this could be a problem. And this reminds me a lot of, do you remember back in the day, this isn't really a thing anymore, but if you would buy a DVD player or something from a Best Buy, the thing that they would push the hardest on you is, do you have cables? Well, you're going to need these gold-tipped HDMI and the audio. And the markup on those cables was like 600%. So you bought a DVD player for, whatever they cost at the time, $300. And then you paid $200 in cables to get the best picture quality, the best sound quality. out of the component, and that was where they made all of their money, is upselling you on cables. So this
Oh,
reminds
and the
me a
service
lot of that.
plan. Don't forget
Oh
your
yeah,
service plan.
because this piece of junk could break at any moment.
Yeah.
So here's kind of the problem that you're running into. You have all these fans. They've given you all this money because they want to support what you're doing. They like your channel. They like your, game design, whatever. So now you got to deal with the logistics. So, the downside of putting that much junk in a crowdfunder is you're going to have to get that into a box and sent to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And Games Workshop ran into that right after the UK left the EU, where they taxed things differently. So if things weren't made in the UK, they were taxed at very, very different rates. So when Games Workshop was throwing cards that they printed in China and plastic that they made in the UK, they couldn't do that, and it actually raised the retail price. So that was a big reason why they were canceling some box games early on, because they didn't realize they'd screwed themselves. They were like they were canceling out all their profit because they were sourcing things from different places. So basically, yeah, with something like this, you've got 9,000 people that could be located all over the world, and you now owe them, you have $1 million in obligation. It's not $1 million of profit. It's not this big bag with a dollar sign on it that you get to run away to Tahiti with. You have $1 million worth of obligation that you owe to people that have, have a favorable opinion of you, which could change the longer you delay things, the more, more they're disappointed by what they're given. So I thought that was a very, interesting point, is as these things scale up, the chance to really fail spectacularly is also growing too. And just because you raised $1 million doesn't mean that's enough to actually fulfill all this stuff. He, for Deathbringer, he hooked up with the Roll for Battle guys, who have done a ton of third-party 5e stuff. So they probably know where to source things, what they're doing. And that's probably why the campaign got so out of control, because they just probably pushed him to do this and make it as big as and
they
crazy.
Probably got a commission or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're going to split whatever they make over. Yeah, they're going to get a piece of that. Oh, yeah, like you said, like a percentage. So big funding doesn't translate into. That's right. This is the kind of the last point that I thought was very interesting. So big funding, these $1 million TTRPGs, do not, crowdfundings don't translate into big playing fan bases. So the numbers on the conservative side is 10% of the backers will actually play a crowdfunded game. And of those, maybe 10% of those will do so long term with continued player acquisition. So without so without that, $1 million crowdfunder that takes years to fulfill means that company is working on getting you something they promised you 2 years ago, not making new content for, sustaining the system. Is kind of like, doing new settings and new things, unless they're doing a new crowdfunder. And the other thing is, your RPG is not going to take hold also without that kind of third-party buy-in. Like we saw that with Morkborg and a lot of the indie stuff that, kind of just hit the right spot for some people, and they just wanted to make stuff for it. So you've got to have a good license for it to get the community to support it. And otherwise, it's just going to be one and done. And you may not have even made much money doing that. So very, very interesting.
Interesting. You can draw a distinction too on that fact about people actually playing the games. My example is always Tales of the Valiant, right? Like that was such a big deal at first, and then you never hear about that anymore.
Right.
And those guys are gone back to being a D&D stooge company anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So here's another way to look at it. I do occasionally hear about MCDM still, or no, whatever it's called now, Draw Steel.
Yes.
And and unfortunately, a couple times in the Broken Empires Discord, which I'm just like, how can you want to play this game and that game? You're broken in your head. But anyway, that guy, Matt Colville, bless his heart, has his video views are 3, 4, sometimes 5 times more than old Professor Scrunchin Master.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has created over a very long time a significant number of fans who like the way he approaches games,
Mm-hmm.
who are then a percentage of them are going to play his game, right? I don't think Professor Dungeon Master has that kind of. One, he doesn't have as many views or followers, but
Right.
also he's all over the place. Like he
Yeah.
pretends to be OSR, but he isn't.
Mm-hmm.
He's always doing the clickbaity news discussions that are empty and
Yeah.
vacuous and a waste of time. So he's not building a follower base that wants to play the way he wants to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the perfect example, did you ever get around to watching his Gen Con video?
No.
Oh my God. It's literally him standing at a podium with a
Mm-hmm.
table next to him with 4 seats.
Mm-hmm.
And he brings up 4 people from the audience
Oh.
and has them sit down in front of a character sheet and his dumb little circular play mat that means nothing.
Right.
And they do a sample fight, except all he does is roll a 20-sided and you're dead. Go sit down. And he brings somebody else up. You're dead. Go sit down. Brings another up. You're dead. Go sit down. It's
Wow.
the worst sales pitch for a game I've ever seen. And he brags about it. He's been bragging like, I killed 400 people at Gen Con or some stupid shit like that.
Wow.
And I'm just like, everything he does is sort of, I don't know, like oppositional.
Mm-hmm,
like I'm convinced if he does make a tidy profit off of this because it's a bunch of cheap shit, he's just gonna, it's just gonna ensure he can retire comfortably. He doesn't care if people get mad or ever play his game, or you know what I mean, like
right. And I think that's
people do these things for different reasons. Like Trevor, I know I harp on Broken Empires a lot right now, but he was doing monthly update videos with rules previews, you know, all the way through every single month on YouTube. He was there. Professor Dungeon Master did a few interviews with his Dungeon Tuber buddies, but he didn't do update videos. Like, it's just because there's nothing there, for one thing. That's barely a game. But his approach is like a mercenary approach, and you know, his game's going to be forgotten in a couple of years, and it kind of, in my opinion, deserves to be.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it should ever have been done on that scale, and I wonder if he was looking at his pension or whatever, you know, looking at his impending teaching retirement coming up, and said, oh yeah, I should probably cash in on this because he's built, you know, he's probably got some okay monthly income from his channel as long as he keeps making those videos. But he also probably could have done something with Deathbringer like 10 years ago, like when he first hit his first, you know, kind of 10,000 followers or whatever, 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and people were interested in it, and it seems like he had good intentions. And to do it in this weird over-the-top style, and you know, the names that he roped in, you know, the names that he was listing on that the site, the crowdfunding page and everything, was really bizarre. It was really bizarre how they, you know, Shadow Dark just became this thing that he wanted to make synonymous with this system that he had been working on forever, because it was basically a homebrew that he created with his high school students. You know, it was basically a homebrew of D&D that he created with his high school students. And so it would have been kind of better intentions, and you could have seen him be a little more honest about this. But I really think the, like you're saying, you can't tell where he's coming from or what kind of, he can just change his stripes very easily. And that's a symptom of YouTube, you know, just kind of chasing that algorithm. So he seems to take that as a complete business approach, and just chase, okay, well, we're this era of $1 million crowdfunder, so let's just do one. And, you know, he was able to probably, you know, Gen Con or wherever, hook up with the Roll for Combat guys, and they said, yeah, we can do that for you. We got the phone numbers to make that happen. Another interesting point that came up in the comments for this is the thing that these big crowdfunders also need to rely on is online ads to attract customers, because you see that they have the people that notice it and they're going to maybe get in on it at the end, the people that go early bird and jump on it right away. But you have that dead zone of those 2 weeks in the middle of your crowdfunder where you're spamming social media with advertising. And, you really have to know or really use somebody reliable to not spend $40 on ads to get one person to buy a $50 book. You've got to really make sure that you're getting some decent value out of that. And so if you've got a bundle, if you spend $40 to get somebody to come to your crowdfunder and they spend $200 instead of just $50, then that makes that, much more a much better proposition to like spend a bunch of money on ads, on social media ads. So yeah, it's quite a thing. But I thought that was funny. They used Deathbringer as an example, and I really haven't seen anybody even react. Somebody that doesn't know about what Deathbringer is or knows about his YouTube, everyone's reacted very negatively to it, and there hasn't even been anyone that's defended him. Like even people that are following his channel, they just can't even defend whatever the hell this is. So yeah, that's very funny.
He has a. I got a little scared because I'm reading the Broken Empire PDF, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the introductory chapter, his name is there.
Uh-huh.
And I think he has. He's getting a lot of return favors from like that Kelsey from whatchamacallit,
Shadow Dark.
Dark. And like Trevor and some other guys, because he gave them like a platform to advertise their stuff. So I saw his name, I was like, oh no, not a shout out, and it's not. I was so happy.
Okay.
It's literally Professor Dungeon Master, a YouTuber, likes to say that dice are just there to determine, are just math rocks there to determine if you succeed or fail. I disagree.
Nice.
Dice are there to tell a story. I was like, yeah, that's right, sucker. But anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But So I think that's good. I mean, I think that's, YouTube is definitely capable of being a good platform for, discourse and to have people talking about their tastes in games, their favorite mechanics and things. And when it just becomes an advertising platform for, shady crowdfunding, it's pretty miserable. It's pretty miserable. Yeah. But we're going to mention a lot of crowdfunding. But the next thing that I want to talk about is Secret Passages, which is an e-zine that when I was reading like what in this new issue of the zine, like what they were going to talk about, I was like, oh, I guess this is a zine made just for me. But they're doing a tribute to John Blanche. So currently they have an open call for contributors, and they want to create, along with their new issue of the zine, they want to create a standalone zine with original essays, interviews, artwork, and photography celebrating John Blanche's extraordinary legacy. So they're inviting writers and artists now. And I think they're even, like, as far as photography, they're asking for just like, photography of your Blanchitsu miniatures and stuff that you've done in the style of his work. So what they're trying to produce is something richer, something weirder, and something a little unexpected, which they say is, the thing that John Blanche's work always has been. So a standalone 40-plus page A5 zine, so like a half a letter size, original essays, in-depth interviews, decadent artwork, and intricate miniatures. So they want this zine to be able, this tribute zine, to be able to be placed alongside your treasured stack of dog-eared 1980s white dwarves and your well-thumbed 3rd edition Warhammer 40K rulebook. So, this is a celebration of his 5-decade career and the countless worlds that he created. And basically, he's the patron saint of the awkward outsider in black T-shirts from the 80s, which I thought was a funny way to put it. But you can contact them or submit stuff either on their website or at secretpassrpgzine@gmail.com. to submit samples and the work that you want. So Secret Passages issue 4, they're doing this on a crowdfunder, so it's a Kickstarter. So both of them are going to be produced through a Kickstarter. I'll put the link to that, and they should be ready to fulfill by autumn of 2026. So right now there's a coming soon page on Kickstarter. And the funny thing, the zine itself, this is the 4. So for issue number 4 of Secret Passages, the featured articles are, of course, Old School Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer 40K, Slay Industries, Prince August Miniatures, and Gorka Morka. I was like, oh, okay, that's all stuff that I would definitely read about. So it's a very funny, very funny kind of old school, Old Hammer. I guess they're calling it an old school RPG and Old Hammer magazine. So yeah, check out Secret Passages if you haven't before, and I'm sure that the crowdfunding isn't active yet, but I'm sure you can get the old issues as well. But it looks like a lot of love went into it. So very cool to see. See, they're working on a tribute, and this is something that made me laugh when it came up. Another crowdfunder talking about. Another crowdfunder with miniatures for a game we've played on the channel twice on a VTT. So we're talking, of course, about Magnagothica Maleghast. So they're doing STLs and physical resin miniatures, for the game. But as we experienced, the game has a lot of miniatures. Like each faction has a ton of miniatures, and also you need a ton of counters to track what these miniatures are doing and the things that they're leaving on the battle on the grid and everything. So this is an official collaboration with Tom Bloom and Taiga Miniatures, and of course, Magnagothica Maleghast is a war game, a skirmish war game. So it's the first official line for Tom Bloom's heavy metal skirmish war game. 10 undead war bands and 30 millimeters physical resin and STLs you can print at home. So raise the dead, claim the Necropolis. And a little blurb from the game itself. The fallen don't stay down. The rival necromancers carve out dominion with warbands stitched from bone, plague, star metal, and worse. The world of Maleghast is a strange, aggressive, grotesque, theatrical, often darkly funny, and drawing on a gothic horror, extreme metal, and dark fantasy, and also underground comics. Yeah, so this was I think it was done like over a week or something. I think 11 days or something. He put together this game really quickly, drew the whole thing out, and posted it on his itch.io. So Tom Bloom made a pretty fun. I mean, we had fun with it because it's just weird. It's a very weird and wacky.
It was. Game. There was a lot of questioning if we were calculating things right, I think, but it was fun.
Yeah, and so this is for a line of basically everything that he drew, every unit that's available in this original book. They're looking for let's see, they want to as of August 21st, they've already raised about $78,000 against their 6,666. This is a short 18-day, there's only 18 days remaining, so it's been going for a little while. This is Taiga Miniatures. Who have worked before with the Daka store, so they can reliably produce miniatures. There's a pledge as low as $1 to access, kind of the mix and match physical miniatures, resin models, dice sets, and also commercial licensing. So if you want to order, if you want to get the STLs and print them commercially for sale, they also have a license for you to do that. They're estimating delivery of rewards at January of 2027, so just next year. But I was having trouble. It was a little too thematic, and I can understand it's expensive to produce an entire faction of miniatures, and they didn't quite have things broken down in any manageable way. So the price points of each of the pledge tiers was really expensive, really high. And everything is a 777, 666, like everything was, hundreds of dollars. So I didn't quite feel like they were doing it that seriously. They were doing it a little bit tongue in cheek. But yeah, if you want to get physical miniatures for this game. They have created them. The other thing I noticed is on the page itself, the art was just kind of black and white with spot color, and each of the factions had a very distinct kind of day glow pink or green or yellow color. And so when they painted some of the miniatures, they painted it like the art in the rule book. And so it's just, you paint the miniature gray, and then there's some white, and then there's the color, the bright color. So it's like you're losing a lot when you're going to physical miniatures, because I think it works fine as counters. Counters on a grid worked fine. But
I'm just, I'm not thrilled with these sculpts, man. Like, I know it's kind of like the art and the style is not your standard fantasy or whatever, but very like the Abhorrors, which was the faction I played. They look like Lego people.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm looking at them right now. And again, they did the same thing they did in the virtual game when we played it, where the faction has this amazing picture of this crazy warrior nun with a katana.
Right.
And then you look at these minis and she's not really there.
Right.
Like,
where's
my awesome warrior nun with a katana?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a lot of the units that were in the in your war band, were kind of boring compared to some of the amazing art in the book. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it's funny though, because I mean, this was the last thing I expected, because he even admitted that this was just a thing he just jumped out of his head. Wasn't thinking of it, all that seriously, but just had this idea. And so now that it's getting support for actual miniatures, it's fun. And I hope that they put the STLs, on some platform like My Mini Factory or whatever, to continue to sell, because people will keep discovering, this guy's game and give it a shot. Although you've got to have a ton of tokens, because people drop so much stuff on the battlefield. Yeah, there's
so many like things that change how the terrain works and stuff.
Yeah, so I thought that was funny that they didn't even, because with 3D printing, that'd be an easy thing to do, and you could have them look very thematic and, paint them up to be disgusting pools of blood or whatever they needed to be. But they didn't do that. They did dice, but they didn't do tokens, which is interesting. So check that out if you've played that game, or check out our actual play on the channel, our battle reports on the channel of playing that. Matt, Will, and I had some fun trying to give that shot. We did it twice too.
It was entertaining. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've got to give Great Helm a try, maybe on a VTT, because that's real easy.
Be cool.
Yeah, that's easy to put together, and I think it'd be a lot of fun because it's got some really fun rules. All right, and finally, Crows, Fortune or Death. So we brought up Matt Colville a little earlier and his dramatic weight loss, which Google is all about right now. So MCDM's sophomore attempt, or sophomore album, they're calling it, featuring better dungeon crawling, overland travel, and a quaint town. The goat, and a lot of adventurers whose ambitions often exceed their skill. So already they've raised about $774,000 for this, and their goal was $650,000. So already, he's got his followers and his fan base excited about this. 26 days left, already over 4,000 people are supporting this, but I can't quite understand, kind of going back to the same people and saying, okay, we did our version of D&D 4th edition, and now how about this? And I don't know if this was necessarily a thing people have been wanting, but maybe it's another in designing and kind of doing something that's focused on a whole different theme, whole different mechanics and motivation. But from the website, dungeon crawls should be terrifying. You should survive them by luck and wits, not your stats alone. Tracking arrows, torches, rations should be a tense game of life and death and not an accounting exercise. So, of course, MCDM has produced Draw Steel, which is their 4th edition D&D, the Ill Trigger, Strongholds and Followers, and Flee Mortals. So a lot of popular 5th edition D&D third-party stuff. But this is a brand new survival horror game of dungeon crawls, wilderness travel, and base building. So, this is built from the ground up and to be the best challenging and immersive dungeon crawls that you've ever played. So 1 out of 3 crows survived this encounter. So I guess it's supposed to be deadly, but we have a lot of games that do this, and they are deadly, and you are tracking stuff with resource dice and things. So this isn't particularly new. And is it different enough that people will want this as well? I'm not sure. So basically they talk about lethal and fun with straightforward rules. So tracking inventory wounds and light is actually tense and interesting because you're rolling resource dice. There is a playtest that you can try immediately that has 2 dungeons, pre-gens, and everything you need to see what the system is like right away. It's got a nice look. I mean, it differentiates itself like visually and art direction. It's just, black and white and black, white, and red, kind of stark. But they said months of internal playtesting and public playtests have brought this to the market. So every monster, hazard, and trap in Crows has a potential to end a PC's life. So as the adventure goes on, a PC's health pool dwindles, making it harder to survive long stretches of dungeon delving without some clever thinking. So start taking wounds and you'll start losing your equipment slots. So we already have that, and you already have a very precious few. Sorry. So this isn't traditional 2D20 fantasy monsters. The monsters are built to be a what the fuck is that kind of monster. So they're not given names. They're just given kind of categories. So this is an undead class A monster. So, okay. And there's going to be monster cards. So you can just kind of do random encounters. And you have some card art, not amazing. It wasn't really blowing me away as something I've never seen before or something beyond imagining. It was just oh, that's kind of like a troll with armor, and that's kind of it was, okay. But the other interesting thing about the mechanics is the game takes place in increments of 30 minutes of real time called dungeon turns. And then they use usage dice for your arrows and your light sources and your rations and everything. The other thing that they do, which is kind of like a Japanese RPG kind of thing, is anyone can pick up a spell book and try to use it. Anybody can pick up a sword and try to use it. But your character options that you take when you build your characters, enhance what equipment works better for you. So they're saying it's your character that makes the equipment work better, not the equipment that makes your character work better, is kind of what they're what they're going for there. You have your two hand item slots, 4 belt slots, 10 backpack slots, and that's it. And that's also your health. And then equipment cards. So there's going to be a deck of monster cards, a deck of equipment cards to show everything. So, as you're discovering stuff in the dungeon, you can pass cards back and forth and say, anybody need a sword? And it's actually like a physical card on the tabletop. They do overland travel, including navigation, travel pace, with tons of wilderness encounters, and each character taking the role of either a guide, a scout, a trekker, and supporter, which... What, Forbidden Lands? I mean, I think we've done this already. What are we doing?
Oh yeah, it's the One Ring. It's all of
right.
Nothing you said is breaking any new ground. Even that real time mechanic I've seen in other games.
Yeah.
Which I've never been thrilled by. But
right.
Go ahead.
And another funny thing is when a PC dies, they become entombed in the town's crypt, where they grant a small boon for another adventurer who visits their eternal resting place before going out on a delve. So I guess that's a way to kind of do new game plus. It's like a roguelike thing where it's okay, your character's dead, but he'll give a little +1 or something to your new character. The thing that this was a word they should not have used on this page, though. So gear is great, but it means nothing if you don't have a cozy base to come home to. Really? We're going to use cozy in this kind of dark, bleak.
Yeah.
So
So
basically,
that and the dead thing makes me think of Torchbearer,
oh yeah.
where it's almost like you only have two states of play:
Mm-hmm.
dungeon delving and go to town.
Right.
And
So they're
I
gonna do.
think,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Oh no, it's a tangent. I'll wait till you're done.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. So they're going to produce a starter set called the Sanguine Anthenium with pre-generated characters, quick start rules, and a dungeon delve. The digital version of this is included in every pledge, any level, so you can get the starter set at least digitally for free. So what else are they doing? So they're doing the rules. They'll do a book of which is the core rules, the ref, so a book for running the game, dungeons, a book that includes 4 ready-to-use dungeons, and then the equipment card deck, the monster card deck, dice, of course, a ref screen, monster tokens, and a dead stamp for marking the sheets of fallen characters. Hello, DCC. A dungeon turn timer, which is probably just a Chinese egg timer turned into a. Hopefully, they did something interesting with that. And then a notebook for tracking your campaign called the Ledger of Death. I think we're losing the point of OSR kind of deadly stuff. It's becoming a a
I think
thing.
we're really seeing a divergence in what people get out of these games, right? Like, I think we're really seeing the people that just sort of like want to get to the meat, right? Get me to the fight, and then I'll go back and I'll sell all my shit, and then get me back to the fight. And then people like me, who maybe it's because I'm old, but I remember, like, and this is why Trevor with Broken Empire has won me over so much. Is like, you could do a whole adventure just fucking around in town. You could do a whole adventure just traveling. You could do like, or not adventure, but session, whatever you want to call it. And like, it's fun to have a game that lets you sink your teeth into all the different living aspects of a game, like
Right.
all these like wipes. It's just like you're editing a movie, we'll just wipe and show up in the dungeon interior night,
Yep.
and then wipe town gates daytime, like I mean, he has a travel system in it, I guess, so something's going on during travel.
Yeah.
But all the hot button stuff you're hitting just sounds like we're taking stuff from games like Forbidden Lands, The One Ring, the resource thing. That's an old Year Zero thing. I think, was it White Hack or Black Hack? One of those two adopted it.
Right.
Not the One Ring. There's a couple other games that adopted it. So we're getting stuff from that. We're getting stuff from. We're definitely getting a mood from Torchbearer.
Yeah.
And we're sprinkling a little DCC, like you said, and Morkborg, like the aesthetic. I think we're going for more of a Morkborgy. Everybody dies, everything's horrible kind of thing. But I don't know. Like, this goes back to my original statement about Matt Colville. God bless him. He built up a huge fan base, and they're going to eat this up.
Yeah.
But who else is it going to be? Who's it going for? I don't. It's one path of role playing, I guess.
Right.
That older I get, the less interested I am in that. Like, honestly, like, a big part of why I can still enjoy what we're doing with like OSE is because you give me the freedom to fuck around. Like, if it was all just business and like get to the dungeon and then I'd be like, oh no, what are we doing?
Oh yeah. When the combats just become grueling, and it's just like more monsters,
or that's all we care about is killing shit and taking their stuff.
Right.
There's lots of ways to make dangerous games. Lots of ways. And this, I think the people that like his stuff are going to love it. God bless them.
Yeah, it's odd though, but I mean, because you're gonna have like Draw Steel and Crows on your shelf because you like his stuff, and then with your group, you're gonna be like, what are we gonna play? Yeah, I guess it's a different mood and stuff, but yeah, it's odd. It's an odd to suddenly go a different
well,
way.
like Paul said in the chat, the Draw Steel is more of like a 4E type game, so there's a lot of powers and I think synergies and stuff like that are probably really important.
Yeah.
Which has never been my priority in any game I play.
Right.
Like I will deliberately make suboptimal characters.
right.
Because they just sound more fun to me, you know? Like,
yeah. And this sounds like
whatever.
Yeah, your character can pick up any weapon, any item, and use it. So yeah, it's a very different approach. And maybe they're just trying to get the people that didn't quite get in with Draw Steel but follow his stuff because they came from 5e. Maybe they're giving them like this is their attempt at like a Shadow Dark, which is an easy way to step away from 5e and do something that might be fun. But but pretty reasonable, like $10 for a digital starter, the digital starter set, $400 for all in, but it's a lot of stuff. And the interesting thing that they're doing is you can do digital for all the books, you can do soft cover for all the books, you could do hardcover for all the books, you could do limited edition for all the books, or you could do total GOAT, the GOAT edition, which is in a tin, limited edition tin, and includes there's two more tins that include the softcover character books, additional dice, so it'll be 10 D10s and 10 D6s.
But
and then
in their defense, their big old crazy honking backing one, the GOAT, is less than half of what old Professor Smudgenmasters is.
Yep. No, definitely. And they're producing a reasonable amount of stuff. And if you really want to get all in on this, like you're following the design and creation of this, and you really want to get in, it's a way to participate. So it's very interesting. So for the stuff that they're producing, they're doing T-shirts and stickers, a bag of dice, a referee screen, extra equipment or monster decks. You can add extra softcover copies of the character books. And there's also, if they hit it's a 1.2 million, I think they're going to do a codex for this game in the Draw Steel VTT, because that's the one thing that Draw Steel was able to do from their success. Is create a custom VTT, so now you can play this on the same platform. So they're adding a different type of game to the ecosystem for Draw Steel. So it's not they won't only be the Draw Steel company now, which I think is good. So 1.25 million if they make that, which they're well on their way to that. You'll get a Steam key to unlock the software for their VTT. So and they've done a lot of crowdfunders, so you don't have to worry about them taking the money and running or any shenanigans. They've done a lot of very successful, and I think his reputation, the people that like him really like him, and he hasn't done anything to piss people off. So it's if you're gonna get in, you can you can feel okay about it. But
I just need to convince him to grow the werewolf facial hair back.
Right. Yeah. Or start wearing turtlenecks or ascots. Yeah. But so it's I forget that my silly little point. Oh, that's right. So the other thing that when we're talking about these crowdfunders and the things that they decide to produce for certain games and stuff, it is really like if you make a game and you're going to do a crowdfunding to print a book, want to do a nice hardcover book for the game, but you're also going to have a PDF available. You don't want to leave so much money on the table if people are really, really excited about it. So you want to take advantage of that excitement and give them a way to support you more, because that was the thing that I think came from mobile games in the early days. Once mobile games got kind of, playable and you could actually do something on your phone, when you just paid $1 or whatever for a game, that was it. That was the end of your relationship with the studio that produced this game. But this, of course, led us down the whole horrible path of microtransactions and everything. But when you create a way to like constantly be telling the studio that produced this thing or the people that produced it, the creators, I'm still here, I'm still enjoying this, keep doing this, I still like it. That's a whole different thing. And so I think that's why that they're starting to figure out how to get people to have degrees of how much they enjoy something or how much they're into it. So why they have this kind of all-in thing is because you want to you want the full experience, or whatever that is. So that's a very very new and kind of very different thing that's come from, I think, just come from internet, like these internet relationships that you have. Because could you imagine, like there could not have been in the 80s, there couldn't have been a Beadle and Grimm producing this deluxe, and especially $500 in the 80s. That was that was a fortune. But producing these weird deluxe versions of Dungeons and Dragons, nobody would have had any interest in that because that's not what the game was. But now it's become, I'm a fan of this. This is part of my identity. I'm going to wear the T-shirt. I'm going to sleep with the plushie, whatever you do with a plushie. I'm gonna participate in this because this represents me. I love candy colored nostalgia and powered by 5e.
Hey.
Yeah. So very interesting. So we'll see. I'm sure it's going to do well. And they're just adding to the library. And this is only their second attempt at doing something completely, separate from 5th edition third-party stuff. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what else they come up with.
They're in that same bucket that I put Pathfinder. It's like, it's not a game I play.
Right.
But I can tell they're a company that operates with integrity. And that's a big deal, because I'm dropping, and I'm always complaining about certain other creators. It's a big deal when there's one there that has a game I don't care about, but I know that there are decent people behind it.
Yeah, because you want the hobby to be full of those people, not the scammers or the fly-by-night kind of like, can we just cash in on this, the one and done, kind of nonsense. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'll put a link to the backer kit for Crows, Fortune or Death. And that's going to do it for this week. So where can people find you, Matt?
Blue Sky. I haven't been there very much lately, but it's at Hargald, HAARGALD. In fact, I think the last post I posted on there was telling Chris good luck with his game that you guys played.
Right, yes.
So it's been a minute. But yeah, I'm on there. Feel free to reach out if you want to talk. How about you?
Nice. So I'm still drawing my single panel gag cartoon. And you can find that on at Abuse Cartoons on YouTube and Twitch. I did some live streams of the kind of creation of those. And you can read that comic, or the cartoon. It's a single panel gag cartoon at gocomics.com/domestic abuse. And also check out rcharvey.com. I'll put a link in the description for a great archive of cartooning and comic book history. But if you like what we're doing here at the Weekly, consider becoming a weekling. So you can do that at patreon.com/upturntable. And you can let us know what you want to see more of or what you want to discuss on the Weekly, what topics interest you. We haven't done a lot of board game stuff recently. It's mostly been a lot of crowdfunding. But let us know what's a fun discussion and what you'd be interested in. There's other tiers to let us know if you're enjoying the actual plays or the lore videos, audiobooks, everything that we're doing on the channel. And any Patreon level gives you the RSS feed, which will have the audio from all of our live streams on there to listen to on however you listen to podcasts. And there's also that content is duplicated on the YouTube members, which you can reach by under this video clicking the join button. So thanks so much for watching and listening, and we'll be back again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.